Interesting. Hey, appreciate it. I did not realize that. I just had it down on my screen this whole time. Thanks for the heads up. I imagine you can hear me now. Let's see. I imagine that was pretty dull up to that point. So let's see. Attempt to open script. Stat resources, characters, allies, character stats. Well, it's not. Oh, okay. That's because I moved it. I think that is okay. Hey, appreciate it. Thanks for the heads up. Okay, so character player is good there. I was running into an issue where I guess I masked the global class. Wasn't sure there. I'm trying to remember here. It's been so long since I have created my stats over here. I thought it was just as simple as double clicking. Or maybe it's just create resource from there. That's what it is. Okay. I mean, maybe I'm sure there's like some sort of double click or something you can do. But basically, I can create a resource, not from job, but I can do character player. Yeah. And then we can have all of them. So I'm currently working on setting up my different kind of stats and where they're coming from. So I have like characters. I have like every character will have their current stats, right? As you level up and other things. Then you have your assigned class, your weapon, and your armor for now. So currently working on building up that. Let's see what else. So we got Arya, Alaria, which maybe I have to change that kind of rhymes. Which is fine, I guess. Oh, it's Alara. That explains it. Okay, let's see. And then we got... so what I'm building up is resources. So resources are essentially just like objects that I can reference. So they're just files of text. So as you're building up all of these resources, you can have the character scripts reference these. You can save them. So as you're progressing in the game, this is kind of how you'd save them. You'd save, essentially create like a JSON or something with all of the values for these resources. And when you load, you just populate all these resources with those values. Obviously, there's going to have to be something a little smarter because in this game, I'm hoping to have a lot of enemies, a lot of allies, and I don't think I would have a resource for each one. I've got to figure out what I want to do as a result of that. I'm guessing it's just like a JSON that, well, maybe that's okay, because yeah, maybe your JSON would load each resource and then it would populate it. Saving might get complicated, but I imagine it's complicated anytime you're doing an RPG. So yeah, we'll figure that out when we get there. For now, to get a workable demo, I don't really need any of that, right? Because I don't think you'd save a demo. So pretty simple here. But hey, Journey, hope things are going well. Hope your research went well. I had downloaded it. It's probably been a few months now. I downloaded Genshin. It looks good. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Let's see. So now these should have, let's see. So you can see now that I populate all these, I do get all these different fields here. And so now I can start populating them. I am getting a lot of errors. I think it's because I had moved some stuff around. SCR is null. What I might have to do is save and kind of go back into it. I had moved some files, or let me do this real quick. One moment. My screen in the back is going to go away for a moment. I'm just going to reset Godot. Ultimately, I think it's probably because I had moved some files around. Good, I'm glad. Glad you had a good time. It looked like a good time. I need to find time to play more games similar to this one. My game knowledge is pretty low. All right, I'm not getting my errors anymore. That's fantastic. So let's see. Ultimately, I'm gonna do one of these at a time. So first, I'll do this. I need to figure out how exactly. I need to probably do some math, figure out how I want to do this. But for now, I'll do like all of these at like 1 or something, just to mix it up. I don't have evasion populated yet in anything. Maybe like 3 attack. It doesn't really matter for now. I'm just gonna add them for now. I'm gonna keep it super simple. Attack range 0. Let's see. So this is Alara. Movement speed. Let's see. Maybe I can I wonder if I can copy the values from here to here. Probably not like that for sure. Maybe not. Not sure a good way to do that. That's okay. Ultimately, I'm just going to take a snapshot and just go populate those real quick. It won't take much time. I'm just going to make everybody just slightly different, right? Just enough to add some variation here. Okay, it's all the same. And maybe I'll make this like 60. That doesn't matter yet. 4. Maybe make this like 3, a little slower. Okay, do something like that. And then for Kale, 1-1. Hey, Vagrant Frontier, how's it going? Good to see you. We're currently working on adding some stats and things to our characters. Hopefully, adding a little bit of complexity and a little more fun. Right now, everything's pretty basic. It's kind of a basic functionality. Hoping to expand that pretty quickly. Oh shoot, I'm everywhere tonight. Yeah, I just covered it because I was resetting Godot, but that's been done. So, but good to see you. Just populating some stuff in here so we can keep going. Yeah. Starting to build it up. I'm kind of working right now on just, hey, thanks for the follow. Starting to work right now just on kind of character stats and classes. And then after that, we'll go into probably weapons, armor, and some more complicated things there. But so far it's been fun, and so far it's going pretty well. Trying to add some variability here so all the players feel a little bit different. Okay. So we have that. I haven't implemented this in the code anywhere yet. Right now it's just kind of loading up and it says, hey, I can change this. So then I can go set everybody here. And so I can say, hey, my current stats are, and I can just drag them on actually. So I'll go do that, kind of give everybody their stats, and that'll allow me to quickly edit how people are doing. And I can start coding how that impacts the different things. First, it'll just kind of be a load. I think for now, I'm just going to sum things up. Ultimately, there's probably going to be a pretty complicated formula that's I can balance out, right? For now, though, to keep it simple, we'll just kind of sum it up. I do probably have to move this down a little bit. Actually, most of this is okay. The accuracy is probably the only one that's probably too high. Let's see. Make both those 50, and that's good. Maybe we'll make this one 60, just to keep it different. Okay, so that's good. And then what I can do is let's start looking at the code here. I need to unpack my current stats. So I have a script right now that unpacks my class, and then I need a new function that is maybe this should just be load stats instead of load class, and I can just sum them for now. So this can be load stats, and we'll make this easy here. Let's see, assign class. Okay, so then current stats. And so ultimately I just do the same thing, but plus current stats dot movement speed. Okay. And we'll just copy this down here. Pretty good there. And then we'll update these names. Oh man, Godot always, every time I undo it, undoes way too much. I think maybe I'm moving too many inputs in too little time. That's all right. Okay, so then what I need to do is take each of these. Then I can really add some variability with like movement speed and stuff, which is a very, very strong stat. And we can kind of see how that goes. Okay, so speed, accuracy, luck, and attack range. Everything's just summed for now. Again, I'll probably do something a little more complicated. That really should be all it is, though. I mean, that should do it. I haven't necessarily built all of like my attack algorithms and everything. There's still a lot of work to do there. But ultimately now, yeah, so he can move a little bit further, or they can move a little further. Let's see, so we'll go do that. So I have new speed stats over there, so somebody went. Very interesting, okay. Everybody can move a little further because everyone has an extra point of movement, which is good. Okay. So let's see. Ultimately, that looks pretty good so far. Can't reach him yet. This is actually feeling pretty playable, which I like. I mean, that's good. It's coming along. Obviously, without weapons and things, it's, he can go up there because they can jump a little higher, which is interesting. One thing too, I don't know. Let's see. Oh man. Well, that was a bug. Let me note that. Okay. Let's see. Got to think through that one. So basically, I attacked myself while standing on this bridge. All right, let's see. We're doing. I should be able to go up here and attack down below. Oh, interesting. It did it again. That's really interesting. I haven't had that problem before. It looks like maybe it has to do with not having places it can attack. Definitely kind of interesting. We'll mess with it here in a second. All right, let's see. So like, yeah, if I just attack up here. Yeah, okay. So anytime I attack, well, that let me. It just took a few cancels. Really interesting. I'm not sure what's causing that bug. That's okay though. Okay. Okay. Also have to go change the wide on the target. Okay, let's just go down here. So let's see. A couple bugs I'm catching here. Change Y on target when swapping camera. Okay. Okay, my camera's also moved. Let me reset this. Sometimes when you go back and forth between mouse and controller in my buggy game, it kind of messes everything up there in terms of visuals. The X or Y axis just get off shifted a little bit. So let me see if that was a problem just on the bridge or if it's a problem with these characters. It's like if he attacks here, right? Yeah, no problem. It's really just when they're on the bridge. Which is so interesting because that should have nothing to do with their height or their position. But we'll work that out. We'll see what's going on here. Very, very interesting. Okay. Looking pretty good. So let's see if he goes up here and I attack. Yeah, it looks fine. I mean, obviously, okay, that's another thing I have to add. I have to add Y direction. Which Y direction in this case is up, down, even though it looks like Z from what you used to be, which you might be used to. But essentially add Y direction attack range. Right now, it's only attack range in the X and the Z direction. Okay? But then if they go up there, do I end up? Yeah. So that's a really interesting bug. That'll be fun kind of debugging here. Seeing what's happening there. All right. And then, yeah, so for some reason on that bridge, things get really buggy. Because the other thing that's happening is, watch, like I'll show you here. Well, yeah, my offset's a little off now, but that's okay. So here, this is what it should look like when I attack. And I imagine even if I'm here and I attack, it looks decent. I mean, it won't look great because like we're just off, right? But it wasn't returning. So got to figure out why that bridge is bugged. Let's see if I still have the problem. No. So it is the bridge. It's gonna be it's gonna be a tactical RPG. If you've ever played Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, it'll be something like that. So what you're seeing is kind of, I know you can't, I need to probably color the the characters so that you can see and tell who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. Good, yeah. It's looking pretty good. I mean, obviously I have a ton of bugs. That's another bug because the camera didn't return. But we've been doing this for a little over a month, and I think it's coming along. Ultimately, there's a ton of graphics and other things I have to do as well. But I like the way this is going so far. I'm trying to keep everything really kind of punchy. I think one thing is combat can get really slow in a lot of these tactical games. So you'll notice like everything's kind of going really fast, and that's the way I hope it stays. It is challenging because animations can end up on top of each other. So there's been a lot of that. I'm really trying to keep things modular as well so I can code this fast and kind of hopefully have a lot of options, a lot of different abilities and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's it's a challenge, and I lost my own game here. But that's okay. So yeah, it's coming along pretty good. I did get a huge list of bugs that time. And so today, one of my goals is to try to capture as many bugs as possible and start working on them. I think the first one I'm going to capture and kind of work on is changing the Y direction on the target when swapping cameras, which should be pretty easy. Essentially, whenever it would swap, it would go to the target, but it would only work if they're on the same plane. Yeah, so when I say modular, I am trying to build it in a way that, like, if I build a new character, I don't have to go rebuild all the code. All my characters have the same code. I don't have to go rebuild all the animations. They all reference the same animations. I can take a different skin and swap them, right? So everybody has their own skin. Like if I go to some of these bad guys here and I can look at like this skin here for them, right? I can go modify this mesh, which they might actually all be referencing the same mesh. So I probably want to make it unique here. And now that it's unique, I should be able to go, now I'm not great at this, but I should be able to like change the material here. And if I change this to like yellow, right? Then when I hit play here, they should change. But ultimately everything's the same, right? So what I mean by modular is I can take like my attack function, I can take my move function. You can see now, actually it changed everyone yellow. I'm too modular, everyone's the same. I can take all of my different functions, right, and just drag and drop them. I don't have to go rebuild everything. So when you're wanting to build something where you can expand it quickly and you can have a lot of different options, it doesn't work if I have a bunch of very discrete, very unique solutions for everything. So I want to build everything in a way that I can drag and drop pieces, kind of Legos, right, to build up a character. So I have kind of this, which is my base character, which has all the animations. And then I have an ability to move, which is this node that I just drop on the character, and then an ability to attack, which I drop on the character. And what it gets me is that when I am actually coding this in game, right, if you add a new character, it can just pull all those Legos together to form a character. So it can pull their skin, which is separate, right? It can pull their movement, their attack, the stats. So you can see I'm kind of building up the stats, right? Which are these like classes. All of that goes into modularity, and it allows you to just code a lot faster where I'm not having unique solutions for everything. The goal is that if I want to implement new features, I want to implement new characters or abilities or whatever, it all uses the same base, and I just pull the uniqueness out where I need it. And that just lets you code and kind of do things a lot faster. It was interesting that this didn't work. I was pretty confident in it. Oh, let me undo all that or redo all that. So maybe I didn't set the, let's look at this real quick because I am curious about this. Let me set him back to some kind of pink. Ultimately, I thought I had set it as unique, but apparently I didn't. And maybe it's because I need to set this material. I did set the mesh as unique, so that's interesting. I can't say that I fully understand why that didn't work because everyone does have their own mesh. That's okay. That's something I will figure out. I can swap meshes. So an example of this, right? I can take this mesh, right? And I'm doing a test live here. So if this doesn't work, I'm sorry. But I should be able to just do that. Swap him. And all of they're bigger, but all of the animations and everything should work on them. We'll find out here in a second. But that was my intention. So let's see. They're just kind of T-posing over there. Oh, that's because you have to map them. So there are steps you got to do. So I should here have to map the skeleton to, let's see, to my skeleton 3D. And I think that would do it. Anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. Yeah, there we go. So let's see if that may be all I need to do. Ultimately, that's all I'm saying though, is that I can quickly swap some things around. I do want different skins on my my enemies so we can tell them apart. It would be nodes, yeah. So the different scenes are kind of like the different collections of nodes. So yeah, in this case, you do different nodes essentially, and that allows you to kind of combine them together to form that. And that's the big power of Godot or any of these object-oriented coding things, right? Is that you build them up and you reference them and you have reusable chunks that you can copy paste. So you saw there, I changed the skin out. Super easy. I'm sure most games that have changeable skins do it the same way, right? You basically just have a skin reference that you can change. And so now I've got a character, acts just like all the other characters, but has a new skin, right? And it took all of 2 buttons. So if I was doing this in game, right, and you were selecting skins, what you would do is you just have a selector. You'd say, hey, pick your skin. Okay, you've got your skin. Now select your, it would automatically code it to reference that skin to that skeleton. So there we go. And I did lose the color of these these test dummies. But I kind of like it. I think test dummies are pretty good. So yeah, this lets me see the enemies. I probably will. I'm gonna put this back to my beta surface. I do want these beta surfaces to be different colors though, which should be make unique. So the way I understand this, right? I'm not gonna say I'm an expert. The way I understand it though is if I were to make unique, it should reference a new mesh. But for some reason it doesn't, because now that I have a unique one, I should be able to go change the material. Actually, you know what? I might be able to do surface material override here. Yeah, okay, that's how I need to do this. That's gonna be the easy way to do it. And then I can have different colored ones here. Much better. Okay, so we'll make this one red. Let's do that. Let's see. Not that red, that's too red. Maybe something like that. And then I will copy that color. And then I will go to Dan. I'll override this here. A new material. Albedo. All right, and then I'll make these guys blue over here. All right, let's see. I also want to move him to over by his friends. Let's see. So let's set him to the right position. So right now he's at kind of an interesting position. Oh, okay, I get it. I think the X value needs to be, was that 21? Okay, nope, that was fine. Doesn't need to be 21. By -9, -3, -1. And then I'm gonna rotate him 90 degrees to face the same way. Little things here. -90 degrees. All right, cool. Yeah, no problem. And yeah, ultimately it's the kind of general impulse, like your instinct when you're coding something, right? Is just to go, hey, let's make it work and prototype it. At least that's my instinct. I don't know if it's your instinct as well. It's taken everything in me to say, hey, no, let's slow down. Let's kind of do what you call like the modular approach or the scalable approach here. But ultimately, yeah, I think it's pretty important. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is color them blue. And I can just do that because I don't have an override. I should be able to just do that here on the normal skin. Here, I'll just make it blue. Maybe something like that. So now you can tell who the good guys are, who the bad guys are. And that at least helps in terms of play testing. Okay, back to debugging here. So the first thing is I wanted to add the Y direction, or the change in Ys when I'm swapping to my target. So that's under my camera. That's another thing is, one thing when I first started in Godot, I was really taking all of my like functions and things, and I was kind of putting them wherever I could, right? I mean, like if I was coding in World, a lot of code ended up being in my camera or my World because that's what's like interacting with stuff. I think it's really important to take your whatever function you're doing, right? If you're controlling the camera, if you're controlling the player, if you're controlling the world, the tiles, I think it's really important to make sure those functions stay with that node. So in this case, I've cleaned up a lot. I've put things in the right spot. And now, yeah, if I'm moving the camera, I know to go to camera. But it'd be really easy to think, hey, I need to go put that in world, right? Ultimately, that's this. So when I go to follow target, I need to set my position here. Instead of active player.position.y, I should be target player. Make sure target player is the right one. Yeah, target player.position.y. So now if I attack from differing levels, the camera should follow those levels. We'll find out here in just a second. All right. Now I can clearly delineate between good guys and bad guys. I don't think I like that blue. That blue's a little bit hard to see. We'll check. See how the red is too. Oh, the red's kind of intense. Might be a little too much. That's okay. It's like the old red versus blue. Not terrible. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I'm gonna come over here because I don't necessarily want to go on the bridge because there's another bug on the bridge. I know that bug exists. Maybe I can update like the metallicness of those characters. The red they have is just really jarring. Let me see. Actually, don't think I checked if. Oh, interesting. Okay, that was note that bug. So character under bridge. When jumping, didn't jump on bridge. Still teleports, right? So I've got kind of a backup in that when you hit confirm, it automatically teleports your character to where you actually want to go. But the animation didn't match, obviously. And then what I'm going to do is put a timestamp. So that's right at the 1 hour mark. Just so I can see that again. Okay, so then if I attack, yeah, they don't have the problem. I wonder if it's an issue with the class I'm not sure. Kind of an interesting thing here. So there you go. Okay. That ultimately looks pretty good though. My levels changed. Cool. I mean, it's not great, but it's okay. So that's another thing. The enemy tried jumping under the bridge. That's going to slow them down a lot. That's another bug. I've had that bug before. Under bridge. Didn't jump. Then teleported. So I haven't been testing this with this level up here just because my jump distances haven't been high enough to use it. Now that they are, I'm just kind of uncovering some bugs. That's okay though. Lots of misses. I changed the accuracy, so maybe that makes sense. There you go. All right, yeah, this looks pretty good though. Okay, so this is on the bridge. I expect the bug. Yeah, so weird. Okay, so when on the bridge. So interesting. What's happening is, this is speculation. I'm gonna capture this. What I think might be happening is when I hit attack, one of the things that happens, let me cancel a few times. One of the things that happens, right, is this, you see how it kind of goes up and down? Like the tile I have selected? Potentially, when I hit attack, it's loading that the tile is changing. And because the tile is changing, it thinks I'm tacking below. But the tile it has stored in reference is the same one. So maybe it thinks, maybe it's just causing an issue there. And it thinks that I should, let's see. Maybe it thinks I'm trying to target the tile beneath it. That's why I have the bridge though. The whole point of the bridge is that I knew that was going to cause some issues. So I want to be able to debug it. It's pretty good though. Let's see. Yeah, not bad. Ultimately, I think that's going to be a lot more important, all these animations, when I have like magic and stuff, because I'll be able to have particles and I'll be able to make it look cool. And every spell will probably have its own animation. Attacks will have their own animation, but for now it looks pretty good. And then I need to decide, do I want enemy animations to show the same way? Right now they're tied to just ally states, but ultimately it probably would look good. I mean, I have to decide that. One thing is I'm really trying to cut all of my animations to be as fast as possible. And the reason is that I don't want to have to sit there and watch animations, right? You want to play the game. And so I want it to feel really responsive, and animations just can absolutely take away from that. So there's a delicate balance, I think, between too many animations and responsiveness. Ugh. Okay. I've encountered this bug before. This is, again, the same thing. This is just, they're going to slide and they're going to teleport, which is nice. Glad to teleport. I've encountered this before, which is essentially they try to jump while they're underneath the thing. I had some code in there that prevents it. And actually, they might keep sliding. I might have to exit here. And I think, let me see that code. So I think that was inside my navigation node here. Really interesting one. So what I said here, if, let's see. Where is that? If, yeah, so right here I have if the grid position minus the current position. Okay, so if it's not on level, so if you're looking up, right, if there's a grid above you, basically, and that grid, the square that's above you. So yeah, if there's a grid above you, and if the grid that's above you is within my set of tile squares, pass. This could be, let me try to think here. I think what's happening, let me note this. I feel pretty good about what's happening. What I think that's happening is this right here takes a set of a set of tiles, takes a set of tiles that are essentially walkable. The problem with that is that the tile directly above you, if there's a character above you, is not walkable, so it doesn't get passed into this for it to know not to jump there. So this prevents jumping when a walkable tile is above you. So essentially, if character is above you, it won't do it. I think the solution to this is right now I'm passing a full grid. I probably also need to pass in like a tile grid here and like the full map of tile grids and essentially cancel. If it's in there. That should be pretty easy. All right, let me try that real quick. So ultimately then I need another what we call this variable. That is full grid. Okay. And this should be in full grid. All right. It should be that simple, really. And then I'll have full grid. And that means this needs to take in full grid. That should be pretty easy to get. I do probably need it. Yeah, I need it in all of them. So I can just copy this real quick. Okay. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that should update. It's just kind of being slow, I think. Oops. Full grid. All right, and full grid. Cool. And then what I need to do is everywhere that uses this, which I think is, there's several places. I think it's move select. Anything that has navigation. So I can probably do a search here for navigation. And then the last one, I would just do comma world dot get used cells. All right. Anywhere else that uses navigation? Yes. So I'm just going to pass in all of the world cells that are used into that navigation node. And then, so it's move select and then move enemy also has the same thing. World.getUsed cells. World.getUsed cells. That one's commented out. And world.getUsed cells. I think that's the only place that uses any sort of navigation nodes. I can check movement real quick just to make sure, because that seems like, yeah. Okay, let me run one test run. Then I'm gonna go grab a water real quick. Let me check this out though. Okay, still works. So that's a plus. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay, so let's see. Okay. No big deal, I just missed one. World get used cells. Let's see. So navigation. Navigation. What is this? Oh, active enemy. Okay, that makes sense. So basically, it's checking to see if they can move before they actually move. Okay, that makes sense. I'm wondering if attack probably also uses it. Yeah. The nice thing about that is it'll go highlight where it's used. And I'm also guessing that attack enemy uses it as well. Nope. So everything's done in active enemy and it passes it through. Perfect. That's another thing, these states. These states are really, I wish I would have programmed like it from the beginning with these states. It didn't take that much to go update it, but it was kind of annoying. Which is essentially I try to do all of my signals now through states. So a change in state triggers functionality. When I was originally doing it, it was, hey, all of these hundreds of things can trigger functionality, and it was really hard to kind of maintain here. Okay, first off, still have the problem. Okay. Let's see. So now I want to go under him. Okay. And so he's under me now. So now I'll jump on top of him. That would have triggered the bug. We'll see. First off, yeah, he can. Oh, cancel. He can stay there. Okay. Cool. So that fixed it for good guys, at least. Perfect. Bug fixed. That's great. Now we're all attacking on the bridge. And so weird. It must have something to do, that other bug I have, must have something to do with this. Okay. But that feels pretty good. I'm gonna go grab a water real quick, and I will be right back. All right. So, all right, resolved one bug. That's how I imagine today is going to go. It's going to be a lot of bugs. We fixed the changed Y on target when swapping, and with the characters on a bridge, they did a bunch of weird things. Teleported. Okay. We change Y target when swapping camera. Very good. All right. One weird bug that we really need to resolve is this bridge attacking thing. I think it has entirely to do with, for some reason, only people who have an attack range of 3. Which could be... Okay. I think that does support the theory I have, right? Of attacking underneath the bridge. But you would need an attack range of 2 based on the current rules to reach that. The current rules are, hey, if you could move there in your attack range, you could attack there. So, yeah. And you can see it was targeted down there. All right, I think it has something to do with that, which is interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's look at the code there for what's going on. Okay, when I'm in attack select, here is what's happening. So it's generating all my attack cells. It's generating all my attack cells. And then what happens here? Let's follow the code here. Okay. It's going to check them and see if selected grid. It should only do it when I hit accept, which is interesting. It should be just pressed. Okay. So essentially I'm going from hitting the button to this mode a little fast. I think if I put a little wait in there between switching modes, right? Like after you attack to grabbing focus on the UI, I think that would do it. So right here, I'm just grabbing focus immediately. What I probably want to do is wait just one frame to grab focus. Now I've had to do that in other places too, which is like here. So ultimately then, if I wait a 1/10 of a second, which 1/10 of a second may be too long, 1/10 of a second, but we'll try that, to grab focus, what it should do is it should process the current frame first, let that finish processing, and then it should switch over to processing the button. I think what's happening is it was switching states and processing my button input all in the same frame. Let's see what happens. Okay, moment of truth here. I should be able to hit attack here and it not. So it's still doing it. I did it twice. Let's do this. Let's see. So it's not grabbing this. However, it's still hitting the input. Okay, so when I'm sending attack, right? Maybe this is where I need it. Let's see, in my attack window, let's go to this method when it's toggled. What if I do that? Essentially add some input delay. I hate these await timers, right? So one thing I think await timers are a little bit sloppy. I can probably set up some better way. The reason is that it's kind of arbitrary. It's kind of when your computer processes that await timer, but it would be better to implement with some kind of flag where it's waiting for the behavior to occur. And maybe I do need to do that, but we'll check if this fixes it. I'm okay right now with quick fixes. We are working kind of a prototype that does fix it. So yeah, so essentially what was happening was pretty immediately, it was processing my button select. And because there's a tile under me, it was letting me attack myself. I am curious if there is someone under me, will it let me attack myself? Because that shouldn't be possible here. At least like in an attack. Let's see. Yeah, I can't attack myself, which is good. I also can't attack directly above me, which is fine. That's okay. Everything feels pretty good though. Honestly, it feels kind of punchy. It looks, obviously it doesn't look great, but it's going to look different. I could wait until the animation is complete. I don't have anything waiting on animations currently. And the reason is that I don't want, didn't like that. I felt the input lag there. I didn't want to, that I guess is kind of technically waiting on animation. Mostly what I have things waiting on is not the animation itself, but like the processing to which drives the animation. I'm trying to think here. I don't think in that spot, oh, interesting. Haven't had that bug in a while, which is essentially enemies on top of each other. Let me note that. I shouldn't have any animation really going on there. It's really more just the switch from attack state to, or I guess from active enemy or active player to attack state. And they're still doing the same thing. They're kind of sitting in the idle animation. So there's not a lot of triggers that I could use. I guess one thing I could do is, let me see. So right now I'm waiting to go into attack state. There might be something I can do here in terms of when I'm looking for this. So right now I go into attack select, right? And let's see. Let me go up to here. Here's the processing, right? So in the process, it goes, hey, my current state, exit your current state, enter your next state, and then set your current state to new state. This all happens very fast, but it's not instant. And then it starts updating the current state. So if I go to attack select, for example, when I enter, I go ahead and I start identifying which cells, and I enter attack state. This all happens probably before I'm actually processing attack state. Then I start processing it. All at the same time, I have, hey, as my button just pressed, which, yeah, should only happens when I update. So I am in this state. It's just, yeah, that input is just going over that whole frame, and there's so much going on in that frame. I do need to wait. Essentially, I need to set my input to blank when it enters this state, which I could do maybe, but I'm trying to keep inputs kind of clean too. It may be best just to wait a frame before I transition, and there's no problem with that. I wish there was a better function to say, hey, wait till next frame, and there might be. I might just not be aware of it. I will probably do some research real quick. Let me do some research here. Research on, is there a wait until next frame command? I feel like there should be, because I mean, if for example, encoding like avionics, right? We know, or we are very careful about, hey, at the start of the frame, you're doing this, and then you have this at the middle of the frame, right? And at the end of the frame, you're doing this. And it's really important because like you take your inputs and then you do something and then you send your outputs, and you don't want to be working on old data, right? Same thing here. I could be potentially controlling when I'm doing something each frame. But right now I'm not. Right now everything's kind of a jumbled mess and it all happens at the same time. So there may be some opportunity there to do something a little better that's like, hey, process inputs. That worked. I mean, I could just do a 0.01 second delay and it fixes it. That's probably what I'll do for now. One other thing is I don't know if I really like this, in that the camera stays at the same level and it doesn't adjust XY for height. Maybe it's okay. I don't know if it looks awkward. I'd love your opinion on it. But right now, yeah, the camera basically sits on the ground, and whether I'm at up there or down there, it stays the same. There are pros and cons both ways. I'm not sure which I like better. Ooh, okay. So let me see. So the next, I think that bug is fixed though for now. I might go ahead and put like a comment on where that's fixed, which is essentially here. Add a comment and saying, wait until next frame to transition to prevent button click. By the way, that's okay. Click from processing to next state. I've got this weird line here and I don't know what it is. But it kind of messes with my text a little bit. Okay. I think that's good. That does resolve that bug, which I was a little worried that bug would be hard to find, but it ended up being pretty simple. Y direction to attack range. I gotta think through that one. I think ultimately I would use the same. Let's see. Yeah, the close-ups. Let me show you what I mean here. Yeah, I like the close-ups. I'm going to show you. It's essentially, I guess this shows it, right? When I go from here to here, it's much more noticeable on the bridge. Here, let me show you. So it's essentially, let me get a character on the bridge, and I'll put one up top and one below. Okay. So see, they're up there. When I zoom in, I'm actually looking at the tile beneath them. Okay, they're there. I have them selected, but the center of the screen is not the character on the bridge. It's the tile beneath it. The reason I have that is because when I am flipping tiles, right, like if I was attacking, it's flipping tiles, I don't want it going up and down, right? I like that it's all locked in the bottom. The problem is, like, for example, if I have this character and then I have this character down here, from a camera perspective, I can't tell which one's selected. Like, obviously I can, well, like that, right? Which one is selected? There's some glow and other things I could do. I can make them, I can do some stuff with the box, but it's it's a little ambiguous, and maybe it doesn't matter. That's what I'm not sure about. There's pros and cons both ways. Like I originally, when I had it like move, right? Like the camera adjusted the X and Y to account for the up and down. And the problem I was running into was just that if I was on an edge or I was going back and forth, the camera was kind of going everywhere and I wanted less camera movement. So maybe it's fine for now. Maybe I need to add it to a question list of what I want to figure out here. Okay. There's another bug. And that is essentially if I move the camera while I'm doing an animation, it doesn't go back to normal. Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's desired. Let's check. All right. So if moving camera while doing close-up, camera doesn't return. I thought the way it was coded it would. Actually, hold up. I know what's going on. Okay. So this is what's happening. I can show you real quick. I originally had it set where I set like my my start positions at the top here. So I have this function called get rotation return, which sets all of my start positions for my camera before it moves it, right? And then it moves the camera, does some stuff, and then when it goes back to my player again, it sets them back to normal. Here, sets it back to normal. I added that function to anytime I change the camera, just so I always have the latest info. The problem is that it saves that data if I am in that zoomed in state. What I think I probably want to do, which, may be okay. I wonder how bad it would be if I just didn't do this. I need to find a good time to get this data, which is maybe, let me think here. Maybe one of these, right? Like, maybe on attack select target selected would be a good time to get it. Okay, I get it right before. Maybe that's okay. Let's try it. I commented those out. We'll see what the result is if I don't have those in there. In my mind, I needed to do it anytime I moved. That way I always have the latest. But honestly, if the only time I'm changing the camera, I grab it beforehand. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so that's what I expected, which essentially I moved it. And then if I wait, it's going to go back. And I don't want that to happen. So I do need to grab it anytime I move it, or I need to move this out of here. So right now I have it in active player selected. And maybe I can just set the zoom mode to 0 or lock. I could have a variable that's just like lock camera. That seems pretty good actually. So we have var lock camera equals false. And essentially Well, maybe you want to be able to move the camera. I guess I could do this though. Lock camera equals false. And then I could have during this state, I'm going to implement it a little different than I was originally thinking. That's a good point. Okay, the character on the bridge was out of shot mid-animation. Good deal. I got that one captured. Let's check. This might fix a couple things, actually. Okay, so lock camera equals true. And then essentially lock camera equals false. And then what I can do here is when I call this, where's my get function here? I could say if lock camera, if not lock camera, do this. And then while the camera's locked, it won't take that data. So I can move it around as much as I want, which is good because I think when it pops down, being able to control the camera kind of feels cool. Like it feels good to be able to kind of control your, I still has the problem. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, it's because I didn't turn it back on. I still haven't commented out. But yeah, that feels pretty good to be able to take it and move the camera around while you're kind of in, I wouldn't call it a cutscene, right? But like a highlight, maybe is what you'd call it. And I think when we get really cool animations, so one of the things I want to do is like for spells and different abilities to have really cool animations. When you get those, it's going to be cool to be able to zoom in. All right, let's see. So yeah, let me jump on the bridge real quick. Also curious about your thoughts on the skipping the run animation. So right now I have code in there that lets me skip the run animation just by hitting confirm. Really good for debugging, so we're not sitting here watching run animations all the time. In play, I'm not really sure what's best. That looks pretty good. That dude, so the character was out of shot mid animation. So you're saying it would be better if after I kind of do the attack, like the zoom staying behind the character maybe, but let you see both characters? It's like right now I have it following from the character doing the attacking to the enemy. Let's see. Oh, interesting. I need to code that as well. I need to go ahead and get some Y distance here. That all feels pretty good though. AI, honestly, it's so funny. The AI is super simple, but like in playing it, it feels like an AI you'd have in a game. It's really not that bad in terms of playing against it. Like, there are a million things I can do to improve it and should do. But yeah, not bad. And then I really need to figure out why the one enemy went on top of the other enemy. That shouldn't have been able to happen. Okay, that felt pretty good though. Ultimately, not too bad. All right, I think the next thing I'll do is add Y direction attack range. And I think I essentially want attack range to be the same in the Y direction. That actually might be super simple, which is essentially attack select. Let's look for my navigation node here. Okay, I'm already using the attack range as the... Maybe I got rid of it. Let me check something. So let's look at that navigation node. We are using the vertical distance here, which is jump speed. And I am referencing it. So that's kind of interesting because I think that's really interesting. I don't think I should be able to, based on that. I don't think I should be able to attack up, at least for my warriors, because they all have an attack range of 1. Let's find out. Very interesting. Okay. Let's see. So can he attack up? He cannot. Okay. No, that's okay. Yeah, because they have an attack range of 3. Okay, that actually is already coded and it works fine. The Y direction matching the attack range I think is okay. Obviously it'll depend on the weapon, and I'll probably have like some kind of formula that calculates it, but that's going to be something that's really easy to change later on. That's one parameter on a line of code. There you go, and that returned, which is great. Okay, that feels pretty good. I think I'm gonna, let's see. I think what I'll do is remove that one here because that's either coded or very easy to modify later. I have player stats, which is good. That feels pretty good. I think the next thing here then is weapon stats, armor stats, which right now, yeah. Right now, I guess I could do just keep summing them. Ultimately, again, I probably want to make it a little more complicated later. But let's build some weapons. All right. Oh, wait, actually, first, before I do that, one thing I want to do is, so I have like this resource here. Ultimately, I need to make my character name equal to this resource name. And I wonder if I could do that. I probably can just have something in here that says name equals character name. The reason I want to do it is because like all of these node names don't actually matter and won't matter when you're in the game, because I need to be able to create those nodes pretty dynamically. So let's go to my load stats and I'll say name equals current stats.name, or character name. Okay. Do I have my job name? I don't. What is that called? If I go to my job here, it's called job name, yeah. So I'm not pulling that in, which is interesting. I probably need to. Let's see. Okay, it's pretty easy here. I can just say on ready job name. And I can just say on my load here, job name equals assigned class dot job name. Did I make that an integer? Okay. String. Easy enough. I don't use that yet. And the actual system I'm planning on implementing here, so I'm calling them jobs right now, but really what I'm thinking is have like titles, right? Like, so whenever you learn certain magic or you learn certain abilities, or maybe even you finish certain missions or meet certain objectives, you unlock certain titles. When you unlock those titles, the plan is those titles will impact like your stat changes on a level up. They would impact your direct like damage that you do. Quite a few different things, all kind of mostly multipliers. So what that lets you do is kind kind of customize the abilities and things you have, and then you can customize the title, which just adds a little bit more variability. I think you can unlock better titles maybe through a lot of different things. So I think that could be a fun mechanic. That's kind of what I'm thinking, as opposed to like jobs. Reason is that like you can get really trapped into a job, and I think you have less kind of customizability if you're focused on, hey, when I'm in this job, I have access to these abilities and things. So I think titles will be kind of cool. So looking forward to that. Let's see. All right. That ultimately feels pretty good. I will probably mess with some of the settings here as far as that. I think I'm going to go ahead and make a weapon. So let's see. I'll make 2 weapons. Right now, first I'll make a... Let's see, weapon. I'll make just like a sword. Gonna be super simple right now. When I actually do this, I'll probably have multiple subclasses. I'll have like swords, I'll have bows, all sorts of things. I'll make a staff. That way I can quickly produce some more of these weapons, or like kind of different components of them. But for now, I'm gonna keep this simple. And since they're weapons already, weapon name, staff, sword. All it really does is impacts the attack. Maybe a sword increases like a 5 attack. One thing I want to do is on weapon stats, export var, and I'll say like mesh. What do I call it? Yeah, mesh. Weapon mesh. Weapon mesh. And it's going to be a node of some kind. I don't know exactly what yet. In a node-derived class. Okay, so can't use node. Can I use like material? Okay, I can. So I think I would use like a material. I got to think about what I want to do there. But essentially, I want to be able to just kind of automatically apply a big thing of weapons that we find, right? Pretty quickly. So then you would be able to add your weapon mesh here and kind of add your material. Right now, this is just material is definitely not right. I think it's a mesh. Yeah. So then I could select a mesh, right? And so I could use a tube, for example, and just kind of create a cylinder or a staff, whatever I wanted to do there. I would ultimately probably build these in Blender or find an asset pack somewhere, but that should be pretty easy. Okay, so for staff, attacks maybe like a 5, sword maybe like a 3 even, and maybe like the staff has like a accuracy of 20 or something. Sword maybe has an accuracy of like 10. Attack range on both of these, maybe a sword's gonna be a 1 and staff's gonna be a 2 just to differentiate. And then ultimately what I should do is that my classes, they're gonna all have 0. And right now, again, I'm just summing them, which may be how I do it for some things. I think the class, I will probably multiply by the stats, but for now, I'm just gonna sum them. Okay, so then I have assigned weapon. And so ultimately, I'll do the same thing. Instead of current stats, I'm gonna do assigned weapon. And movement speed, other stuff, depending on what the weapon is, it could have any of these stats. So I'll probably give everything the ability to modify any stat, even though they wouldn't typically do it. That way, if you have a weapon that, you know, makes you move further or something, you have that option. That should work, and then I can just assign weapons to people. So like Alara can... Oops. Oh, yeah, I need to drag them. So like Alara gets a staff. Let's see. Kale can have a sword. Arya can have a staff. And then I'll give Garrick and Dan both swords. Yeah, and this starts to let me do a lot more complicated things. So now I need to go build up my skeleton to allow me to actually carry a sword and a staff. And I need to build meshes, and I can start actually doing some stuff. So, okay. One thing is I did not get any range, so that's a bug I need to figure out real quick. Okay, let's see what's going on there. So my attack range is assigned weapon. Oh, that's because these are all movement speed. I forgot to copy them over. That makes sense. Okay. Health. Attack. I am sure that there is a more elegant way to do this. And I will actually probably look up or build something. I think you could loop through everything, right? Kind of all the different stat types and have an array of stat types and automatically sum them all up based on that array. And that probably makes a lot more sense. That would be a lot easier to add new stat types, right? Because then I wouldn't be locked in. Cool, perfect. So that's good. Oh, one thing too, what I probably should do too is have on the weapon stats, I would probably have a weapon mesh, and I would have like selected animation. And the thing is, like, depending on what weapon you're using, right, you're going to have a different animation. So this will allow me to select it, and I will probably have an animation here. Then I can actually select an animation. I don't know if it'll let me do that yet. I might have to set it up that way. Let's see. Because I don't really, I guess I do. I mean, I could like drag these, right? So like this one-handed magic attack. It's not gonna let me do it because the animations are not really there. So the animations are here, right? But they don't match these. That's not where the animations are actually coming from. They're loaded in here. I wonder if I can actually select them. They might not be available on any kind of picker to let me select them. They're saved somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure where. But that's okay. It can probably be a string. And you just say the name of the animation rather than that. That probably makes more sense. It's like string. And then on sword, I would say like sword. On staff, I would say like staff. And that would have animations for each of these. And then I can have in the character node, when I call the animation, let's see if that's here. I guess it's in the attack node. The attack node, when I call the animation, where is that at? I'm actually just setting these. So I'd have to get a little creative, like in my animation tree. So like melee attack would be like, hey, if this attacking and animation equals sword, right? It would be something like this. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. And then I would have these as auto. Same here. Obviously, this is just a super simple thing here. So then I would have attacking and animation equals staff. This is not going to be what it's actually like, but for now it's fine. Okay. And then I'm going to switch over on end, at end. Okay. And then what I can do is in my player, We're kind of prototyping live here. This is the process. You just kind of stumble through all this. And then so I would say animation equals assigned weapon dot, what I have, let's see what I called this. Selected animation. Selected animation. Okay. And I can have a new variable called animation on ready. Variable animation equal a string. All right. That was quick. That was a lot of code. I have low faith that this actually works. Let's check. Maybe it does. So let's see. So Aria then. No, did not work. Let's fix that. Okay, so a couple things. Real quick. Let me get rid of some of these prints that are in the priority script. So I'm printing a lot of stuff to the page right now, and it's hard to see. This is it. That's probably most of it. Anything else? That's fine. Okay. So then let's kind of walk through. So I have a sword selected, right? So if I look at Dan, Dan's got a sword assigned. If I look at sword, I have selected animation as sword. So selected animation, if I go to my script, when I load my class or my stats, I select animation equals assigned weapon. Spelled assigned. Did I spell assigned wrong? I think it's right. Assigned weapon dot selected animation, which should be this value. I can confirm like this. Okay. It looks good. It's all spelled correctly. Okay, so what I can do here then at the top, just print. Let's do a print this, but instead let's print animation. Just to make sure it's getting read in correctly. And then what I can do is look back at my code on my animation tree. It should be pulling it in. All right, so let's see. So sword, yes. It is pulling it in, okay. All right. Let me see how that's set up then. So magic attack. Okay. That looks good. Make sure it's auto attacking. Maybe it's not an and. Maybe it's and. It probably isn't an and, actually. Let's look at the documentation for this. Oh, I don't know if I'll find. Yeah, so it's just and. Okay, let's give that a shot. That might work. Cool. So there we go. So now I've got staff. And see, I could have coded it, right? I could have absolutely made it really complicated where it looked and everybody had a very unique animation and I coded that. But that would have made long-term, would have made it a lot more complicated, right? Because then I would have had to be keeping track and had to change a bunch of variables. And this way, I can kind of dynamically assign things and make updates. So that's what I mean in terms of like modularity. Just coding things in a way that makes them very reusable. And there I can just change very simply. I can change a single value, right? That's inside of a resource and change the way my character now behaves. So then I can, in my animation tree, have unique animations for as much as I want. And it'll be easy to swap between them. Ultimately, I think the most modular thing to do would be to attach the animation to the weapon, right? Like as like a child of it. However, I do think that would be very, very complicated to code because of the way animations are referenced here, it's not as simple as like call the animation that's in my node, right? It's looking at the skeleton. So the way animations look here, by the way, because this is useful to know. So if I go to animation here and we look at one of the animations, every single little node on here is actually a property of a skeleton. So the skeleton, if I look at here, if I look at just the skeleton, this is what it looks like. There is a lot of different bones that you can reference, and every single one of these little keyframes is actually a reference to how a skeleton's moving. It makes it really complicated. Obviously, I didn't build these. I just pulled them from Mixamo, and it automatically references these. But I would have to store all of this data and pass it in with the right bone references if I was going to store that within the weapon. I would much rather just store a string and just say, hey, this is the one I want you to use, which I think works a lot better. So ultimately, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks pretty good. Awesome. So one thing we did, we implemented a weapon system. I guess I might as well implement an armor as well while I'm at it. Just because we're close to having one of everything, right? Let's do it. So ultimately, I'll create a new resource for armor. And so maybe I'll have one that's like plate or something, right? And I'll have one that is like cloth. I mean, when I get past the prototype stage, this is going to be much more complicated. But for now, that's okay. So cloth. Maybe I'll make it so you move a little faster and you can jump a little higher when you're wearing cloth. Maybe like 10 HP. I'm not using evasion yet, but maybe you have some additional evasion. Maybe like a couple extra speed. And then for plate, maybe no extra movement speed, but you get like 40 health. Yeah, and maybe some evasion, because if someone hits your plate, they're probably not going to deal damage. Not using that stat anyway yet. Okay, so then we'll go back to my character script here. Yeah, I really need to code this to be a little bit cleaner. Before we do all that, assigned armor. Did I spell assigned armor wrong? Yeah, for sure. All right, let's see. So we got to update these to this. This will probably be pretty much the last thing I do tonight. I'm about to call it a night. But made some good progress, honestly. We went from relying only on stats of the class to everybody kind of having their own stats, which is pretty cool. None of these formulas here are how it's actually going to be. But that's okay, because they're all in one place. They are easy to edit, right? So as I'm going to be doing a lot of balancing and a lot of like implementing actual mechanics. Right now it's very much bare bones, summing up all the different stats. That's okay. Let's see, movement speed. Oh, I haven't assigned armor to people. So let's see. I may kind of mix this up. So I'll assign Dan some. Undo that. I'll assign Dan some cloth. Garrick, I'll assign some plate. And the cool thing about this now is you have very customizable characters already, right? We haven't done much. But I do have very customizable characters, even with my few options, which is cool. And when I have a lot more options, you'll have very, very customizable characters, even with just those 4 options. Of course, I'm going to have things like shields and accessories and all kinds of other stuff, just the normal stuff. Okay, so like Arya has 45 and can move a little further now, which is great. and that enemy can move a little further. Alara actually has the exact same loadout. Can't move quite as far with him, but he has a lot more HP. So now the game's starting to feel interesting because everybody kind of has their own kind of set of stuff. And now I don't think he can attack the enemy from up here. He can. Should he be able to? I have to look at that. I don't think he should be able to. I think that's way too high. I will look into that. That's okay. This feels pretty good though. We honestly, we got a lot done. We resolved a lot of bugs. We fixed some animations and things, made some things look a little cooler. I think the next thing I'm going to do, so my list right now has, hey, implement that system, abilities, spells, which I need to do. Before I do abilities and spells, I may go implement, so I'm going to keep fixing these bugs, so I may go implement better graphics. Obviously, I've spent no time yet on graphics. Everything has been just straight free assets from the internet. I will probably start working on getting some stylized grass, start maybe working on a style. And that should be a lot of fun. I have Blender. I'll start working on Blender and seeing how I can implement things a little bit better in Blender. I gotta fix that. Okay. Animation moved before animation complete. So slid, and that's going to be at 202. But yeah, we're really excited about that phase because that's going to let us really start looking like maybe a little more polished game. Like all this stuff's cool, and I honestly feel really good because we have worked really hard on getting all these bugs worked out and stuff. I'm curious. Up here, yeah, he probably can reach. He shouldn't be able to. So I do need to figure that out. But yeah, ultimately, I feel pretty good about this. Excited for what we're doing next. So let me go ahead and build. So the goal, we're complete with building an enemy AI. I have not updated this goal in a little while. Let's update it. I think the next goal here is a somewhat decent demo. So I'm going to look at the next kind of small goal is going to be just improved graphics, grass, and textures. Not worried too much about like my character skins yet, which I need to do. But for now, going to focus on grass and textures. Skins will come next, but just trying to get something looking decent. After that, I'll focus on getting some skins, but I need to develop a style first. And I think I want something a little stylized, which is going to be really hard for me because I don't have like an art background, right? But I'm going to try to get something a little stylized rather than kind of what it is now with the mixture of free assets, and we'll go from there. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much done for tonight. Had a good time, though. Thanks for hanging out, Journey. It's good talking to you as always. Appreciate everybody else as well. And yeah, we'll start looking for somebody to raid. Let's see who we got. I'm gonna try to find somebody who is kind of at a similar level of followers and things. Try to find someone interesting here. I've met so many interesting people just raiding. It's been kind of cool seeing different people's games and where they're at. I actually don't know if there's a YouTube raid function. Probably something to look into, but I haven't messed with that yet. Should be something I check out though. All right, I'm gonna find somebody. But yeah, again, it was good chatting, and we'll talk soon. Let's see. Mystic Moog seems pretty cool. Let's see if we can raid Mystic Moog here. All right. Thanks, everybody. Talk soon. Good night.